Hello and welcome to the Starting and Operating the Successful Permaculture Nursery Summit, brought to you by the Permaculture Institute of North America, or PINA.
We need small-scale bioregional seed companies for every significant watershed where human civilization lives on the planet. And it's a great thing to do. This is not a sky is falling, fear-mongering thing. It's an awesome thing to do, to walk out there and be surrounded by agrobiodiversity. I think that's one of the greatest achievements that humans have done, as how to create a stable food supply and medicinal herbal supply and all the other useful plants, whether it's indigo for dye or flax or cotton or hemp for fiber, so that we don't experience starvation and periods of lack. And that's really, to me, what permaculture is about is, as Bill Mollison said, fear of falling food, and not from cargo drops, but from a food forest. So
approximately 50% of the planet's land surface does not have adequate plant cover at this time. And it's humanity's, the solution is staring us in the face. It is to green up more and more of that area that's not green enough. And so we need a lot of nurseries to do that. We actually need thousands, and probably you might say millions at the small scale, of nurseries all around the world. Every area that needs restoration in Kenya or in the Midwest or here in Washington, it all needs nurseries. In a sense, we could say that doing nurseries is also emergency preparedness. I see a time coming when there's going to be a collapse of the supply chains, etc., and every area will be more thrown on its local resources for food. And so local nurseries for all kinds of food crops will be, right now, we get our order from the other side of the country in our email box, and then we send it off on UPS. But if that starts breaking down, there will need to be the local nurseries that supply the local people. So anybody that has those little nurseries started, at any rate, they can ramp them up as needed. So we need, there's sort of our prep strategy is to have small nurseries out there.
This is the future of the nursery business, really, in the seed business. It's kind of all compact. His backyard, I think, is just pepper plants, from what I could tell. He has a special pepper that he calls Matapino, that is a variegated jalapeno pepper. And so he spent a little time publishing and doing the artwork for this, which is kind of nice. So this is really the show. The nursery could be your showcase, I guess what I'm saying, to your creativity, to the arts, to the sciences, and how people want to come to you for something. It's the plants, yes, but people are very curious to know about your life. What are you doing? And a lot of plant nurseries don't have people pictures in them. It's kind of missing. And I was one of those. I never put my picture in there. But once in a while I would do it, but eventually I realized I needed to put more people pictures in there. And that's really kind of gives people a comfort level, knowing, especially these days, using your art, using your music, whatever it is that you're involved with, to incorporate that into the nursery.
So these are some dishes. These are some ways that I sort of use perennial vegetables. And if I have a whole bunch of different perennial vegetables, I throw them into eggs and greens or make latkes from them. Another way, soups and stews. This is a really easy way to use a whole bunch of different weird and wonderful perennial vegetables all at once. Green sauce. I make a lot of green sauce from the various vegetables. Like I have too much food coming out of my garden all at once in the spring. It's kind of overwhelming. So I do like to make a whole bunch of green sauce to put away for the winter. And so I have, I'm eating from my garden all winter. So I just use old yogurt containers, and then throw them, put them in labels. I have a small chest freezer, and so I fill that up with green sauce to use all winter. Pizza, it's a great way to use perennial vegetables. Perennial salads. I always throw a bunch of flowers. There's a whole bunch of plants with edible flowers, and why not throw them on your salads? The only reason we don't see flowers in the grocery stores is because they wilt too quickly for them to carry them, right? It's like it's just so easy to impress people with edible flowers, and they're also highly nutritious. So why not throw more edible flowers into our meals?
Another one I do from cuttings a lot that's super me and really easy to propagate is figs. They're cold hardy enough to live here. Even in the worst winter, they'll just get knocked to the ground and then come back. But then when they're mature enough, that won't even happen. It's only in the first year or two of their lives that could happen. They're super tolerant of drought and heat, and they make a really valuable fruit during tourist season that commands a fortune and then also dries really well. And I eat dried figs for as long as they last every winter and never have enough of them for my own needs. So I'm actually going to like put in about 50 of these in the next year in a new area that I'm opening up. And that's how I actually got my start with the nursery, was just being passionate about wanting to grow fig trees and starting like 200 from cuttings. And that was what I took to my first sales event. That was the weird thing that got me started selling plants, was just I have way too many figs I just made. I need to get rid of them.
Then there's our pop-up nursery, and this is a nursery. This is a Christmas tree lot, but for fruit trees. So imagine the excitement that happens on our lot when people come looking for their fruit trees that they pre-ordered. And we always order a few extras so that people, when they come to the lot, they can, ooh, you know what? I didn't get an apple tree. I need an apple tree. So those are available. And then the other thing that I mentioned earlier is we supply fertilizers and other supplies for people. The nice thing is that well over half of our income from the program comes from this stuff. So basically what we're doing is we're giving people all the supplies, all the education to be able to successfully grow fruit trees really wherever they live.
Mail order nurseries are great, but they have size limitations and they have seasonal limitations. That was another driving factor for us to start this local nonprofit. And it's really been to our benefit that any, landscaper, home do-it-yourselfer, you name it, can go any time of year and show up at our nursery, and we're open all year, and buy those plants for a price that rivals Lowe's and Home Depot. And even the local nurseries, I love them, but they have their market demographic, which is typically people with a lot of expendable income, the mom and pop nurseries, and so they have a demographic. They're not addressing low income at all. It's just too expensive. To run a nursery, they can't afford to do that. And so my cousin actually is a manager at one, and they do a great job, but they don't have the cultivars, again, because people say, well, I want a red delicious, they're trying to appeal to the market. For us, there's also this huge education component to say, no, you don't want a red delicious. You want a Grimes. My favorite apple is a Grimes Golden, super disease resistant. You can get a dwarf. You can, and they're self-fertile. So you can put these in the tiniest yards in the middle of the city and still get apples. So
why would you want to sell seed versus plants or like tubers or something like that? So seed does require some extra technical knowledge to produce, but they have a long shelf life, often several years. It's cheap and easy to ship them and transport them. They don't take up much storage space. I have most of my seeds just in a couple Rubbermaid bins, and you can sell seeds year round. So all of that stuff just really, really appealed to me. This is skirret, one of my favorite perennial root vegetables. It's very tasty. I've been eating a lot of it this winter.
Probably the most important thing is the availability of water, because if you've got plants in pots, it's very quick for them to dry out. Seed trays, especially for things that you're growing from seed, your vegetable starts, those things are going to need water on a routine basis. So make sure that you've got your water available close at hand. In my case, I use rainwater. We've had 2 years in a row where we've had 6 or 8 weeks with very little rainfall through the growing season in the last 2 years. And so I've got about 3,500 gallons of rainwater storage, which I fill up in the spring with the spring rains. and that's usually good to cover the dry gaps. So I do recommend having both rainwater backup or some different ways that you can water. I've got my tanks located where they're uphill from my nursery, and I can gravity feed through a hose to water my plants. And because I keep all my plants in a well-defined area, it doesn't take me a lot of effort to water those plants when I need to.